We're here with Keith Stewart. Read the line at read the line _. Who has at read the line?
I don't know, but 3 years ago when I battled for it, somebody had it. And it's not betting related either. I remember that.
Do you want me to go after him? We'll get it.
Yeah, I mean, Run Pure Sports. Go get him. Get it going in the comment section.
Pardon me?
Get it going in the comment section.
Yes, exactly. Well, we'll have a lot of people leave meetings for this show. They schedule around it, but some people are getting in trouble at work. We've learned at the Discord that at 3 p.m. they keep canceling meetings for this show and the one on Monday. So we may get some late viewers, but thing I learned the most was that, and I saw this last week on the back wall of your studio, and I wasn't going to say anything because I couldn't read the last part. Yeah, this part.
All right. Over here. Yeah.
You're the director of fun.
Yeah. Yeah. You want the story or?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, I was a club professional for over 20 years, 5-time award winning, mind you. And,
so 5 times in 20 years?
5 times. Let's see, 22 nominations, 6 national nominations, 3-time finalist national award for the PGA of America, and 5-time section winner, 2019 Golf Professional of the Year in New Jersey. So best in state, 2019.
And in Jersey, no less.
Yeah. Yeah. Tough crowd up here. So you get to know me a little bit, and the listeners get to know me a little bit, but, I just find golf to be way too stuffy, and people aren't having enough fun. And one of the reasons that I built Read the Line when I saw the opportunity, and I was a head golf professional for all this time, and the members would come into the club and they would be like, "Hey, meet my head pro," and I just felt like it was very standoffish, and I tried to be as approachable as I could. So when things got really, really bleak, then they appointed me the director of golf. In my mind, bleak. In their mind, they were like, everything's going great. This guy, he's award winning. And they pushed it up even further. And I was like, man, I hated head pro, let alone the idea that now I was the director of golf. So not to mock it, but to have fun with it. I titled myself the director of fun because I just wanted people to come have fun. And this is like pre-music on the golf course and drinking and fun and all sorts of things that, have become way more mainstream now. And so I hung a sign above my door. It's Keith Stewart, PGA Professional, Director of Fun. And it took a year or two to kind of stick, but anyone that knows me from my golf days knows I'm the Director of Fun. I'm not head pro or anything like that. So that's the story. So that back there is an accumulation of license plates where they cut the letters out of different states. And those are the 4 states that I've lived in my life. And I got that as a present. So thank you to those that gave it to me. And it's pretty cool.
The decision-making to call you director of golf, they should have just started a New York TGL team, right?
Yeah.
That seems like the same brain trust that did that. And but even better was to generate these clearly authentic quotes from Cameron Young saying it was a surreal moment for him to represent New York.
I've spent a lot of time with TGL folks behind the scenes, behind the curtain in the last year, probably, or more. I was at the groundbreaking in West Palm Beach last March. To their credit, I mean, I know that they're, when people don't know things in golf Twitter, they tend to attack more than be patient. So these folks are trying their hardest, man, to do something really, really innovative in the space. So, I wish them the best, and they know they need to lean into betting like 1000%. So they're listening, which is all I can say, we hope for. So it's been good.
Okay. I'll be less heavy-handed with them. I'm the VP of fun, Keith. It's in my byline there.
You know what? It's catching. It's catching.
All right. So I always have an opening. I don't prep you for any questions. You don't prep me for anything.
No.
We take the topics of the week and we have a natural dialogue, which is what it should be.
Yeah.
I can't work from notes. I can't work from script. It's all got to be, and people may tell that. But about 10 minutes prior to this show, we learned that, and we've talked about this. I think you and I have talked about this. Caddy fits on tour that we believe work well. We talked about Scheffler and Ted Scott. I thought that partnership and that marriage worked really well. The one that I thought was so much different than Jimmy Johnson previously was Bones with Justin Thomas, taking nothing away from Bones, obviously a Hall of Fame caddy, and worked with Phil forever.
Yeah.
But I just felt like the transition from a senior person who was, probably like a father figure out there was something that made JT really good. And I just think the transition to Bones, which is a little more, what do you need me to do? He doesn't seem like a personality that really is someone who's forceful as much. I didn't know whether or not that was going to be a good fit, or has been over the last 3 years with, I think, one win, the PGA Championship. And then 10 minutes ago, JT posted a message of them splitting up. So what say you? Did we do that? Did we play a role in that?
No.
Okay,
but I think
that was the only question I had. Next topic.
No. You just had a very interesting choice as you went through that beautiful soliloquy about the presenting that question. You used the term father figure.
Yeah.
Right? What were you referring to there?
His dad being so involved in his life. And
Yeah.
Jimmy Johnson was kind of representative of that for me on the course. It's like, just saying, hey, kid, we need to step it into gear, and him listening.
Yeah, I think that there's a couple guys out on tour that will struggle to achieve the potential of their talent while dad's still involved. And that's one of them. That's one of the three. And I'm out there all the time. I see the interaction, and it's really, really tough to be a junior golfer and look over at dad when you hit a bad shot. It's just tough. It's tough. And
I see it in youth sports right now with my daughter. And and some of the parents that are super involved. You're not helping.
Any kid that looks away from their teammates or their coach after they do a performance moment, and it's good or bad, and they're looking in the stands for mom and dad or guardian or whomever that person may be, that figure, it's probably not a good long-term situation.
So the other one I would say is Xander, right?
He's broken away, so I'm not going to use Xander. There's two other examples I have that are pretty well documented in the results that they've had, and I would certainly try something new.
So where does this go? It's a week
one of them's
before
on one of them's on TGL New York. Surprised you haven't caught that one, or maybe you don't know that he works with his dad full time.
Well, there's Fitz, there's Cam Young, there's Xander.
There you go.
Cam Young does.
Cam Young's dad is David Young. He was the 30-year pro at Sleepy Hollow Golf Club, just north of the city, which is a very famous golf course.
Right.
He is a wonderful award-winning golf professional, tremendous mentor, wonderful leader in the golf space, but he travels and coaches his son 24/7, just like Mike Thomas. And
that's interesting.
There you go. And another one I'll give you as an insight is Adam Svensson. Another tough family dynamic there.
Yeah,
I'll give you two examples. At Cognizant, Svensson's parents weren't there. At Genesis, no. At Cognizant they were. At Genesis they weren't. Go look at the results.
Yeah, and Svensson actually he had one good Florida swing. Was it Valspar? It was Valspar. He had a good Valspar. Cam Young almost won Valspar.
So 7 times second place.
So how does this play? Because we're gonna be deep in the Masters weeds next week, but looking forward to next week. You change your caddy the week before the Masters. What does that tell you? And is it going to be Stevie Williams, who I think is a perfect fit for him?
Oh man, I'm sorry, I see that the other way completely.
Okay.
I think that Bones came in with a level of professionalism and wanting to upgrade the team atmosphere, chemistry, culture, routine, all of that stuff. And I think that dynamic started to push people out of the camp, or as far as how much
okay. I
influence
get
they
it.
had. That's
I
my
get
read.
it.
That's I don't. I'm just basing that on what I see. So one man's opinion, right? But
I would have thought the opposite. You think it's going to go back the other way?
oh yeah, I think get Stevie Williams in there would be 100% the wrong thing to do. That's not to say it won't happen, and you don't know that, but I I just see that dynamic is I think he needs to get like a Harry Diamond, like I think he needs to get somebody that Mike and JT have control over.
Okay.
My opinion.
That's an interesting read. I've read that wrong in terms of Bones, but what do I know? I would have thought
Bones is like he I mean, how many people do you use the phrase like Hall of Fame caddy? And what does that even mean? Right? Like it's just a caddy. And I'm not trying to downplay that guy's had and Stevie and all these guys have had great careers, Joe LaCava and everything. But like at the end of the day, like what does it mean to be like a Hall of Fame caddy, right? Like the guy is the consummate professional. He elevates your game. And in doing so, you have to have I mean, that's not a secondary personality. That's a guy that needs to know when to step up and say something, and then also know when to carry the bag. And there's a lot of psychological management and performance management going on there at a very high level. And if you handled Phil through all of that, through all of what Phil is, and you guys came on top more often than not, right? You could handle anything. And you might say like, hey man, not like, and I'm sure he's smart enough not to say like, hey man, like Phil used to do it this way, but like he would know how to prepare for Augusta National. Bones would know. And who could question that, right? But I don't know.
I mean, he must have something pretty significant lined up to make this decision or publicly on a Wednesday prior to the Masters. So who in your mind who's lined up, or who's leaving another bag for Justin Thomas because he's one of the premier bags on tour? Top 5.
I would think earning potential wise, he's obviously in the top 10. Top 5 seems like a stretch right now.
So who do you think it would be?
And I'm not counting.
He's a free agent right now.
Yeah, I don't know. The news surprises me. I got to think about it.
That's why I think Steve Williams for a one-off during the Masters.
If he's picking somebody for a one-off,
yeah,
right, then I could write all of your JT content for next week, right? If this is a decision that is made the week before the Masters and you don't have a long-term plan in place,
right?
Good luck. Good luck.
Yeah, it's interesting.
You need that to be a proactive decision, not a reactive decision.
Yeah. Even with this, these horse events that have gone on in my life over the last week, and having a niche story, somewhat national, and being involved in the mix, and then just hearing all the commentary that was inaccurate about it, even in that small niche story. I thought, what I can't comment on any story anymore and have any sort of firm knowledge unless it's triple, quadruple sourced. So I'm going to say that JT knows what's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly there's more behind it than I know. It's interesting to say the least. And I think we saw it coming. So the bigger story coming into this week, though, well, I think a bigger story. One, the missed putt by Scheffler, and that being his last putt before the Masters, whether or not that plays into any sort of psychology for him losing that tournament, which I think had he made the putt, Jaeger was cooked. I mean, that was it. Whether or not that has any influence on the greatest golfer on the planet right now, who's playing the best golf, And the only thing, I think everything has been locked into stone, unless you tell me otherwise, in terms of how people will approach next week. Well, JT may change things, except for Rory this week at Valero in San Antonio. If he wins, or if he wins by a significant amount, or if he shows up and performs well, how does that change the sort of architecture of Rory next week and how people feel about him? Because everyone believes he's next in line for a green jacket and that window's closing. And then you just mentioned Harry Diamond. Harry Diamond is as a type of caddy, but not the caddy that JT should have. Should Rory and JT do a caddy swap?
I don't know yet. All right, I wrote down the questions. All right, let's start with Scotty. Scotty and the putt. Right. So, I don't think that missing the 5 foot 4 inch putt even makes a difference to Scotty. And the reason I say that is that he went a year missing 5 foot 4 inch putts to win. I mean, he lost 9 strokes putting at the Memorial and finished second place by 1 or third because of the playoff. But you get my point, right? The week before Colonial, he lost by 1 and he lost like 7 strokes putting. So I think Scotty's been dealing with this for a while. He's kind of become accustomed to it. Rory's not going to change much of my mind this week about anything. The story came out today where he went to see Butch Harmon for a lesson. And how much of a lesson that was, or was it a couch session?
Didn't he deny that too, or didn't he deny?
Well, he's on one podcast telling a story about his daughter asking where he was going, and then Poppy was like, "Where are you going?" And he's like, "I'm going to take a lesson." She's like, "But Dad, you're good at golf. Why would you need a lesson?" And he's like, "This is golf, right?" It's interesting to me, and this should, because you are so on top of these things all the time. And I follow all your shows and everything. And, kudos to Andy last week. He had Jaeger. But there was another piece of content where Andy was like, the only way you can win money on Scotty is to take Scotty to win in a playoff. You get him at 22-1, right? That was his idea. I was like, that's a great idea. I think it was Bet365 had the bet. I had to go find the bet because he only quoted it what it was, but I had to go look and find it. It was hard to find, but 22-1. I mean, he was 5 feet 4 inches away from 22-1 win on Scotty. Forget Jaeger for a second. It's pretty savvy stuff. I like it. But my point is that in all of this that you just said, you really think Rory has more of an effect on what's going to go on next week than what's happening in Miami and one person individually?
That was part two. Two. I didn't want to load you up the questions, but there's like two things. And you tell me I'm wrong. But is anything on the Live Tour Doral going to change anything for you in terms of who shows up next week?
Nothing at Valero is going to change my mind about what's happening. Whether Spieth wins it by 5 or Rory wins it by 10 or Rory misses the cut. None of that is going to change my mind. What happens down in Miami definitely could, only if Rahm seems like he's not Rahm. That would be the only thing. Because right now, I can't believe that Rahm is still the third favorite for the Masters. Obviously, we know who the first one is. That's fine. 100% warranted, right? But the fact that Rahm is behind Rory just shows that bias that we all have towards Live. And the books have a bias towards Live.
Yep.
And they can't help
Neiman,
it.
Except like. Neiman, I think, is the most ridiculous price on the board.
I mean, he had 1 year of success there. And I'm not sure it's the greatest low ball hitter ballpark. But I could be wrong there, but that's Neiman's thing.
Who are the three? It's Rahm, Brooks, for me, Cam Smith. That's who I want to see.
Oh, down at Miami?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Maybe a little DJ.
Really?
4
in 2024?
Yeah. Yeah. Because he's still one of the most talented golfers in the world. It's whether or not you want to work at it to get to that level. But
if I'm the VP of fun and you're the director of fun, he's the chairman of fun.
He's certainly not the fun police. No, the three people I was talking about, Rory, Scotty, and Rahm being at the top of the board. And a year ago, they were the big three, right? And now we all of a sudden don't talk about Rahm anymore. Until somebody pulls that jacket off the Raging Bull. I mean, that guy has got to be in strong consideration for winning Augusta. He's like the strokes gained leader over the last 5 to 7 years at Augusta National. He has a green jacket. He's proven he could win there. And he seems extremely bothered by all that's going on in his world. He's got plenty to
Very,
prove.
very.
I think he's got a ton to prove. I said this the other day, just in passing to somebody. They're like, "What do you think about Rahm?" I said, "Rahm does not want to sit in that beautiful mahogany press room and answer questions about Scotty. That is going to just
drive
like,
him nuts.
oh my God, like it used to do to Phil in the rest of them when they had to answer 10 questions about Tiger. Everyone's going to get asked, Xander, everybody. But some of those guys are used to it because they get it every week. Rob's been gone, man. And he won the Masters.
You're right. Before Tiger became this sort of Mount Rushmore figure, and he was revered and honored in terms of what he did for these young players and making money and teaching them and, shepherding them into the game. But back when Tiger was younger, people fucking hated answering questions. Oh. They hated it.
It was incessant. The media is really, really good at one thing, being the media, right?
Yeah.
And I think you guys talked about this the other day when I was listening, but whether Scotty won 3 times in a row, 5 times in a row, or he just won the twice and the putter seemed fixed and he came into Augusta, he was still going to just get asked a million questions about being Scotty, right? And that's the media being the media.
What's the worst question the media can ask? How do you feel about your game? Is that?
I mean, the more wide open the question, the easier it is to close the door.
Yeah.
Right. So the one reason, not the one reason, but you are very good in these conversations that we have because you ask specific questions and I try to give specific answers. And that's what the audience is looking for. If they wanted top line stuff, they could go to people that don't know what they're talking about. Right.
Yeah.
When you dig in, that's what makes it work. Most of the media, they get in those situations and they just ask these broad stroke questions and you don't get anything out of that.
I just thought of something profound.
Oh boy.
Phil's brother's retired from caddying, right?
Correct.
Bones is now available, right?
Yep. Before the Masters.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. That seemed odd that Phil wouldn't take Tim to another Masters.
So soon, right? I mean, did JT leave Bones or did Bones leave JT?
I don't know.
It's Phil and it's Bones next week. Stevie Williams, JT. Book it.
What's
right,
that? So, what do you always say? 1,000%, 100% certainty? Office picture? Book it.
I am. I'm 100% certainty. You can book it. You started it here. All right. So you don't put as much stock into Valero as an indicator for next week than I thought you would. But I will tell you that from a DFS handicapping betting standpoint, what I was saying was that I don't care what price, 13,000 Scotty, 15,000 Scotty, you cannot outprice him.
No.
Scotty's going to be 50 to 60% owned. I would imagine that may be high. Unless Rory does something huge this week, whether or not it means anything for you for the game. If Rory wins by 5 at Valero, things start moving around in terms of ownership and price. And the other thing is too, you've got, I think Andy said 11 of the last 13 winners have been people who have not been in the Masters going into Valero. Okay.
It's definitely 6 of the last 8 for sure.
Let's play that narrative game like anyone needs more narrative to play well at an event. But 2 names really pop out. Keith Mitchell was disappointing last week. He didn't miss the cut by much. Still missed the cut. Keith Mitchell and Billy Horschel, to me, would be the 2 biggest names on the course this week that are playing well, that I think just on talent alone, I would assume they would be in the top 50, but I think that they should be there. Do you see that one of those 2 winning this week?
I
Like
mean,
Billy
Billy
Horsch is
Ho.
playing really well.
Billy Ho more than Keith Mitchell. Keith Mitchell doesn't have that much win equity.
Why the putter?
Yeah, and he just hasn't won as much. What Billy Ho's got, like, he's in his late 30s. The guy's been on tour for 15 plus years. He's earned it all the way. He's only got like 7 wins. He's been on one President's Cup team, so he's been not a journeyman, but an above, a B-rated PGA Tour player for 15 plus years. I mean, that's really good golf, like really, really good. And I'd have to, and also you got to look at the skill set too. Like, what's Billy good at versus what's Keith really good at? And Keith, he's lacking around the green and on the putting surfaces. Now, I know this is a proven place where it might be team no putt, but you still got to be able to chip and putt your ball and be a great bunker player. And Billy's very good at those things. There's a lot of interesting narratives like that. Like I think about Seabez. And I wonder what that guy was thinking. So he was 55th in the world going into Houston. And maybe he didn't know this, maybe he did, but the cutoff for top 50 in the world was end of March.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, so it was March 31st. So it was Sunday, period, done, right? And if he goes to Houston, which he's playing well enough to do, and he finishes like top 6, 7, 5 or something like that, he probably goes to Augusta. Now he has to win this week in Valero in order to get in, right? And of those 3 guys, and the reason I brought him up is that I think Seabez has the best skill set to win at Valero or TPC San Antonio's Oaks course versus those other 2. I think it's a bad fit for Mitch, and I think it's a good fit for Billy Ho. He certainly has more win equity than Seabez, but I think it's a great fit for Seabez. 6th in approach in the field, and everyone looks at the yardage, the 7,400 yards. And they go, oh, you got to be a bomber here. What's it like? The 7th longest course on tour last year. Everyone loves to rattle off the data golf. But like when you look at the design of the golf course and how the guys separated themselves from the field of those last, like, let's say 5 top 10 leaderboards, they mostly did it inside of 100 yards because 5 of the par 4s are under 410 and 4 of the par 5s are basically not unreachable because guys always reach them, but a majority of the field is going to hit a third shot there. So now you got 50% of the shots are happening from 100 yards and in. I mean, that's a huge bucket to fill. And if you're somebody like Seabez, who's like 3rd in proximity from under 100 yards with guys like Hideki and Joel Damon, I mean, that's a pretty good class to be in right now.
Not so much bombers, because I think a variety of players can win here, but just
JJ Spawn,
just
Matt Kuchar.
Fair.
Yeah.
Matt Kuchar. Yeah. And what did Matt Kuchar always do? He hit fairways.
He puts the ball in play, and he could putt really well, and he could chip really well, and I think that we're not giving enough credit to around the green play. Maybe we are for bunkers. Everyone's talking about the bunkering. It's very difficult here, but I wrote about this with Golf Digest, but on the grounds, it seems as if the surrounds, they're mowing away from the greens, which is a classic textbook move in order to get chips to be into the green. And because of the weather that they've had, the grass it's been warm, but the grass has been well nurtured by the rain, but not too much rain. The Bermuda's popping through. I mean, I'm getting pictures of this stuff, and the Bermuda's popping through the overseed. So you've got grainy Bermuda. You've got what looks to be mowing patterns going away from the greens, which all these guys are hitting short shots, and the leading edge of the club is sticking in the ground. Well, that just makes it even more complicated. So you better be good at short shots. Billy Ho, good at that. Seabez, good at that. And you better be very good.
Aaron Baddeley at history here. I mean, Aaron Baddeley's not big off the tee.
No. Ryan, people are talking about Ryan Moore, Billy Ho this week. They're talking about Matt Kuchar, JJ Spawn. I mean, look at the guys like that have won over the last 10 years. They're not, I mean, Jordan hits it out there. Corey Connors hits it out there. But, for the most part, it's guys that were a little bit more plotters. And I think that's something to pay attention to as you build your lineups.
But Corey Connors 2 wins here. I mean, we all know him. He's a great driver of the ball, meaning accurate driver of the ball. He's got a beautiful swing. But, just watching him on the Florida swing, and especially his success here and Augusta, and he'll be popular again next week.
Yeah.
I guess you have to give credit to Corey Connors and his abilities around the green on tight lies, right? I mean,
oh yeah. Yep.
So,
Yeah, I mean, he just does everything. When you strike a golf ball, he just does it all well, except roll a putter. But like the rest of it, it's really good, really good.
so up top, outside. So, let's say Rory and Hideki don't win. Aubert is someone that I have recently gotten behind because you really can't not ignore the talent. Right? I want him to be flash in the pan. And I think I said that even publicly, which I'll delete. Going into
edit that out.
Edit it.
Yeah. Edit it out.
I'll say he said that, not me. I think it was Pebble Beach, and I just thought this kid is unbelievable. You see him as a winner this week, possibly.
100%.
Yeah, I'm kind of there as well.
Equal to Hideki. And here's how I'll sell you on it. He went uber low at RSM on a golf course that didn't need driver and was all short wedge approaches.
Right.
And then you got to make the putt, right? But those Fazio greens on the Seaside course there at Sea Island they're not complicated, right? So fast forward to this week. Don't need driver, but if you do, it's an advantage. He's like top 5 in the field, proximity under 100 yards. I don't know. I mean, he went 61-61 on the weekend at RSM. Right? His last 4 starts are all inside the top 20, I think, off the top of my head. I'd have to look, but they're all really good from Pebble through, he had one of his best ball striking weeks ever at Players. Immensely good. And top 10 there, right? So it'd be tough to talk me out of that. Be tough. And it's not his first time playing there. He played there in college. So he played there in 22.
Someone asked you, as the director of fun, you kind of keyed on Doherty last week, and he had a great week, by the way. So kudos to you.
Grazerman too. Grazerman.
They've mispriced Doherty again this week, so I think he's value.
Less value there this week than last, because what is Doherty really good at? He's a top 5 driver of the golf ball, and that'll get mitigated somewhat this week.
Grazerman's still 6,500. He looked great last week. Learning more about his game. Is Doherty even in the field this week?
He is. Yeah,
he should be.
Yeah.
Other guy too. The other guy too. Flop lag last week. Novak. Do you know much about Novak?
Not enough. But like I put people on a list that either you ask or other people ask or I'm asking about, and then I got to go look. And I'll be on tour the next 2 weeks. I mean, Novak, unless he wins, won't be at the Masters. But I got to go look. I got to spend more attention there. I'm a one-man team.
So
when it comes to that stuff.
What's your lean this week then, going in? I mean, I want to like Spieth. I want to think there's going to be
Why?
I said I want to like Spieth. I also want to dunk, but I can't. Right? Yeah. There's a lot of aspirational things. Why?
Yeah.
Because I want good Jordan Spieth at the Masters, and I don't want to believe that's just a part of history now, but it might be. Right? I mean, he just might not be the same player.
I don't know if we texted about this or not, but Jordan Spieth's won twice in the last 7 years. Well, it'll be 7 years. To be fair, it'll be 7 years in July. Twice in the last 7 years.
Yeah.
It's a long
JT
time.
was trending to that too.
Yeah. I mean,
but is it just I don't know how long that caddy relationship lasts. I mean, I know they're like a married couple, but
man, that'd be a tough one to take on. New.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone. I walk a lot with Jordan because he's in usually featured pairings with other people that I'm betting or that I'm doing research on.
Yeah.
And man, he does not stop talking. Not stop talking. I mean, I would I would have like a 9mm in my bag because at some point it would just run. It would just like
What, for him or for you?
well, no, for Greller. I mean, geez, oh flip. It just Mikey. Oh my God. Stop.
Yeah.
Talking.
So, okay.
I'm a huge Jordan guy. I love Jordan for the
huge
sport.
Jordan guy.
Oh man. I mean, there's nobody. I mean, if Jordan was hitting the ball as good as Scotty, golf would have no problems. You know, Yasser would be a Jordan fan. I mean, that's how everybody loves the guy. He's awesome. But
good Jordan on the PGA Tour is the most popular player on tour right now, and I don't think it's even close.
100%. 100%. Yeah.
So then I'll stop throwing darts here. But I like by the way, I like Lucas Glover too. I'm just gonna put that out there so don't forget. I think the value guys to me were Novak, Glover, Grazerman. I agree with Brian Harmon. I think he was mispriced. Only for talent alone, not necessarily course fit. But for you, what's your lean this week? Who's your Sammy Valmaki?
Oh, that deep.
Well,
let's talk about a little bit of the middle for a second.
Okay.
Aaron Rye. I think that Aaron Rye's ball striking is similar. I mean, he's like a poor man's Corey Connors, right? So if you want to bet Corey this week, let's say he's 30-1. You're going to bet Aaron Rye, he's going to be 65-1.
So it's not something that is just this sun run for him and it's running hot, and then it's like he has actual talent that you like.
Aaron Rye, I mean, he's won on the DP World Tour in difficult conditions, in the wind and et cetera. He's an extremely, extremely proficient ball striker, and he's a very, very poor putter. But if you look at Corey Connors and his 2 wins there, his average strokes gained putting was like 1.3 strokes over 2 wins. I mean, that doesn't happen, right? So he's just ball striking this place to death. And Aaron Rye could do the same thing. Now, Aaron Rye's played there 4 times, and his last 3 trips, he's had positive strokes gained putting. And I don't know that he's been anywhere that he had 3 trips that were positive strokes gained putting. So if Aaron Rye is hitting the ball as good as he showed at Houston and some of these other spots recently, he could definitely, in my mind, be a really good value in the middle of the board that people are going to say, he hits it great, but he can't putt. He hits it great, but he can't putt. He actually putts all right here. And then another guy.
Batia, Akshay, right?
Well, I mean, he would be in that same sort of, but he's going to be way more like chalky. You know,
I don't think so. No, I think they're going to be similarly owned. I think the price is interesting. I mean, he may be more. People like playing Akshay, and he played well last week. Both those guys surprised me, right? Like, I'm just waiting for the cratering of them. But like Aubert, it's just not happening. I think they're just talented enough. What was I interrupted you. Who's your other name?
So that much further down the board, that Joel Damon could do some things this week. And again, Joel Damon is like second in the field in strokes gained tee to green behind Hideki. Like, I mean, seriously, like he's gaining like 3 shots a week with his iron game or more. Joel is. I mean, it's significant. It's really, really good. And he's really poor at putting. But if you go back and look at Joel, the last couple times he's played at Valero, he's gained strokes on the greens. So, and that's what you have to look for. You have to look for those moments where guys, yes, you want the ball strikers all the time. They're going to pop with the putter. You'd love to have a guy with both. But I mean, that's how Scotty's doing it, right? And that's the easiest recipe. Take a great ball striker and hope that they putt well, right? Well, like Joel's proven that he's putted well here before, and he's proven right now that he can really strike the golf ball. And I know people say he missed the cut last week. Yeah, people do that, right?
I think the thing is, when you have a long course and people say driver is important, people think, okay, you have to be length and a bomber. But look at Augusta National in terms of its length. Zach Johnson won there when it was soft, right? I know you win, but you know, sometimes these guys like Kuchar can get around a course because they hit fairways, and if there's enough trouble off the tee here in San Antonio, you know, that's an advantage for someone like Joel Damon who does that. It's like a Brendan Todd, right? He's not flashy, he's not long, but he puts it in the fairway.
Like a great comp course this week is Corrales, right? And a lot of people don't think about the secondary venues, but when you have weaker fields like this, you got to look at those because, you know, that's where these guys play more often than not. And were they successful there? Why Corrales? It's windy there. Can get windy in Texas, right? Similar style skill set that you need at both places. Joel's won there. I don't care what you think Joel looks like in a floppy hat or Matt Kuchar now with his dad gut or any of these guys. You put them at 80 yards from the pin, they're going to hit it inside 10 feet every single time.
Right.
And they're going to blow you away with how good they are at proximity. And that's how they score. And I know that doesn't necessarily carry them through at Augusta National. That's, uber long on every single shot. But when they have instances like this, that skill set is really, really significant because they're going to create opportunities.
So par fives here, reachable, maybe two of them reachable in two, maybe one, right?
Maybe. I mean, like the last one's 590. It's across a creek and it's up the hill the whole way.
Yeah.
You know, so like, I mean, that plays over 600. The fronts on the front are over 600, and then you got one that's like 560. Like, and there's
a ton of trouble on 18. I mean, we've seen Tony Finau on the Cactus there.
Yeah. Tough tee shot down the left. Everyone gets blocked out on the left.
Tough tee on the right, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so you're there's a third shot par fives within 80 yards. That's how these guys can compete.
100%. And it doesn't happen every week, but you got to pay attention to that this week. When you're looking at this is a huge approach golf course. Great. Mm-hmm. But you can't just look at strokes gained approach, everybody. You've got to, I mean, there's different skills there. Is it mid irons? Is it long irons? Is it short irons? And then when you break that down and you start to look at it the way I do, it's like, okay, they're all good at this because they're on tour. But who's really good at one part of this that they can actually separate on Sunday or over the course of 72 holes? Which is like splitting hairs, right? And these guys are so good from close range that's how they separate at TPC San Antonio on the Oaks course. That's how they do it, right? Mm-hmm. Because there aren't enough. The rest of the shots are like 175 to 200, which is an 8 or 7 or 6 iron for those guys, some 9 irons, right? Like they're all just really good at that. They all hit it to 20 feet and they make the same amount of putts. Great. But like if you want to accelerate ahead of the pack, right? I mean, it's handicapping. It's what you do with horses and everything. Like the track matters. And that's what I'm saying. Like you got to be good at those things here. Is Rory good at short wedge shots? Chime in. Feel free in the comments. Light it up. Because the answer is no.
Like what's short to you?
Anything that's like gap wedge and in. So for most of these guys, that's like 125 and in. Where a guy like Joel Damon will take your lunch all the time. Seabez, take your lunch. Matt Kuchar will take your lunch. You said
previously on another show that all these guys can hit wedge, right? All these guys are good wedge players. Are you just saying, like in terms of the standard, the Damons and the Kuchars are just, and even the Spieths, are just in a different category?
Like by this much. In over 72 holes, that's how you win by 1 or you win by 2.
No one remembers second place. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, it's more noticeable in the numbers when you look at approaches from 210 and Victor and Scotty stand out, old last year Victor, but Scotty stands out over everybody. But like, they're all great wedge players. So everyone on the PGA Tour is a B or a B plus wedge player, meaning that they're all very, very, very good. But these guys are just that much better. And the focus this week are on those shots. So make sure that your guys can do those shots. Period.
Who's your director of wedges this week or VP of wedges? Hideki?
Oh, man.
Damon.
I mean, look at this list, right? All right. Ludwig, number 1, Damon, Seabez, Doug Yim, Davis Riley, Buck Rogers, your boy Brendan Todd, Jimmy Stanger. How about Davis Thompson? No one's talking about him. This is a great course fit for him. So there's 8 or 9 names right there that are really, really good from close range.
Brendan Todd. Yes.
Yeah. Brendan Todd,
he can fucking putt, baby. He can putt.
I mean, he'd be sitting next to you at your daughter's volleyball game and you'd be like, who is this clown? And the guy's made like 25 million on tour. Won like 3 times. You're like,
you want to go play golf and he'd rip your heart out.
Yeah. And he looks at you. He's like, are you carrying a flask? Wiley, what do you got? Like we're hanging out, yeah, he'd rip your heart out. I mean, your wallet would be gone.
I'd rather lose to Aubert because he looks like he can beat me, but Brendan Todd would destroy you, and you didn't think he could.
Yeah.
That's the.
I mean, you got like Joel showing up with Gino, right? You got a 6-foot Uncle Fester and a guy in a floppy hat, and the guys would destroy you all day long.
Well, you said that you and Gino shot, or you shot an 88 at a course from not even from the tips on a tour course.
Yeah,
Oak Hill.
Yeah, last year, yeah.
And from the second tee box, right? Not from the tips.
Yeah, from like 7K. Yeah.
Not and you played your ass off and shot an 88.
Yeah. Yeah. And Gino shot like 2 better than me and that day because he was riding in my cart with me and we were having a blast. And so you were gonna say, and these guys what?
Are shooting, 68s, 70, 71.
Yeah. I mean, Brooks went around the place and what? Over 10 under par on 4 days? 10 under par. There wasn't any I can't dream of being 10 under par on a golf course like that in my prime. Right?
Yes.
Somebody asked about Tyler Duncan. Tyler Duncan's best skill. His coach is Andy Johnson, who I worked with back in the day at Isleworth. Andy is an incredible player, and Tyler is fantastic. But his best skill set's driving the golf ball, which I think is a little mitigated here. So I don't know if this is a Tyler place, to be honest with you.
Let's close out this. Thinking about wedge game. Now I'm looking at Webb Simpson 6,200, which I have an unfair addiction to. Joel Damon a little cheaper. I gotta let Jordan Spieth and Webb Simpson, the ghosts of the past, go. I know. You wince when I say that. You're like, it means you don't be a fucking idiot, man. That's what you're saying. Who's your winner this week? Is Aubert on the screws?
I mean, if you get a single bullet, it's tough to go against that skill set right now.
It is.
And you could say all you want. I love Wyndham at this point at any major, but Fuzzy Zeller is a real thing at Augusta. It's tough to be a debutante there. So, Wyndham might be a value play a week from now, but Aubert at a major. I mean, is Ludwig Aubert the best player to never have played in a major? I'll hang up and listen.
Yeah.
Think about it. Never played in a major.
It's remarkable. I mean, everyone's played in a major. It's just he's built for it though. He does it. He's not rattled. I mean, he's just always around.
Yeah.
Okay. So Matt Minister, this is from Chris Parrish. Matt Minister is going to be the caddy for JT at the Masters. Who did he caddy for? Do you know?
It's interesting to me. I want to know if that is a long-term or short-term. Yeah.
Who did he caddy for previously?
What do they call him? Reverend?
Yes, right? The Reverend.
The Rev, right?
Yep.
The
he caddied for Cantlay.
Yeah, I was thinking older than that.
Nick Price.
Nick Price, that's what I was thinking about. He goes way back. The Rev goes way back.
Yeah. Yeah. Is that the fatherly figure I'm thinking of?
No, you need a role player.
Okay.
The father figure's there, fully present in JT camp.
But I'm turns into body double on the course that he can sort of
repeat the message from Mike.
Repeat the message, yes.
Yeah, could be.
All right, Aubert wins. Joel Damon second.
No, don't say that. Joel's 250 to 1.
Okay.
Be like Wyndham lipping out again. I'll lose my mind.
You're the director of fun. Let's have some fun.
Hey, winning is fun.
DJ wins the Masters. That's what I heard today.
Man. I mean, tell me we all wouldn't enjoy the dress that Paul.
There was no one more fun than peak DJ. I mean, that guy there was nothing better. I miss him and Cam Smith the most. Well, Brooks, but
oh man. Yeah, well, next week I'll be at Augusta when we chat.
All right, brother. Thanks,
Can't
Keith.
wait. Take care.
Read the line _